What's up, YouTube? Capital G here, DN Duel commentary. We have Jessica 96 at the top, 1479, and Red Gamer 7 at the bottom, 1632. Is that Natalie Portman from Thor and a bunch of other movies? I think that is Natalie Portman, as is Avatar. Anyways, it looks like we have Infernity versus not sure what. And Infernity is gonna get things rolling. Looks like Red Gamer opened with Foolish, which he used to dump Street Patrol. Then he normal summon Necromancer set 3, and then he banished Street Patrol to go into Archfiend. So I guess he's probably just gonna get a break there and pass turn. Unless he has other cards here like Instant Fusion or something like that. I don't really see him extending his play, giving his opponent a bunch of different cards, and play goes to Jessica. Now, my personal opinion is, and a lot of people are like, oh, you play Bujin, it's the best deck. Right now, Bujin is not the best deck. Of course, I'm talking about pre-Primal Origins. The best deck right now, my mind is made up. The best deck right now is Infernity. You see Jessica summons Geargia Arsenal and is asking for a response. The best deck of the format right now is Infernity, and the reason I say the best deck is Infernity is simply because the deck goes off almost like fucking 90% of the time. And there's no other deck in Yu-Gi-Oh that does that. And I said it when Soul Charge first came out. I said at the very minimum, what Soul Charge is going to be is more copies of Launcher. You guys can look up the video and I said that exactly. I'm like, even if you don't get 5, isn't this just more copies of Launcher? And people were like, ugh. And now you see Infernity is basically the best deck. Like it went from like it was just average to like the best deck because it goes off all the time now. And then your opponent just loads up with breaks and barrier, and it doesn't matter if you have back row because they pick your shit out with Diamond, Direwolf, and so on and so forth. Now you see that Red Gamer's Archfiend got attacked over, and then he went Accelerator, and then he tributed for Geargia Armor, which got him a copy, or yeah, that got him a Geargia Armor set. Let's see. Red Gamer tried to go for Necromancer, and that fell into Solemn Warning. And you see Soul Charge comes down, and it's like, what can you do? Like, when you're playing against Infernity, you can't have every answer. Like, the deck has so many fucking Monster Reborns now, and you guys see a lot of times when I'm playing my Blue Jeans, that's why I'll just pass turn, and I'm trying to, when I have Mika and Yamato, I just sit there, pass turn, because I'm trying to stack up Carnations, and then if I have Soul Charge, it's like I've got 3 Monster Reborns, I can't lose. You see that with Infernity, it's like he made the best play he could have. Jessica made a great play to use Warning on the, what's it called? To use Warning on the Necromancer, but it's like if his opponent has Call It a Haunted or what is it, Archfiend's Roar, the one that's like Call It a Haunted for Infernity Archfiend, or has, God forbid, Soul Charge, or any of these cards, you just lose. Because now you've got 3 cards, and that's all fine. Your opponent's about to get what, like 2 breaks and kill your entire board? Like, you can't win. You know what I mean? And Infernity, the deck is just, it's way too consistent right now. Like, obviously, if Soul Charge went to 0, Infernity would just go back to being a good deck. Probably still tier 1, but it wouldn't be at the point where the deck goes off all the time. So you see now he's going for Levier, which he used with both of his Archfiends. And Necromancer gets him back in Archfiend, which I would imagine he's going to get. He goes for Archfiend. I thought he was going to maybe go Necromancer. Alright, so he's going to banish Street Patrol to summon this Archfiend. He needs to put a counter on that Necromancer. Because, like, he might be able to, like, soft cheat or something like that. Activate this motherfucker, like, 3 times. And now I would imagine he's probably going to go... well, he doesn't have any more Street Patrols banished. If he plays 3 Street Patrols, then I'm guessing he'll go for Necromancer. If not, he might go for Launcher. So he goes for Necromancer, which means he probably plays 3 Street Patrols in the main deck. I'm guessing right now he's going to go in for Lavabo Chain number 2. I know they play 2 Lavabo Chains. I don't think they play 2. I mean, I don't think they play more than that. And you see he's going to pitch Infernity Archfiend to get the 3rd Street Patrol into the graveyard. Yep, get 3rd Street Patrol into the graveyard. Banish it. to summon your Necromancer. Necromancer activates. That's gonna get you at least one copy of Break. I don't even think you need Launcher at this point. Like, yeah, I mean, I guess you can get Launcher. Okay, he gets Launcher. And now you're going to go rank 3 into Levier, which should get you your Street Patrol back. And then I think you go Diamond Direwolf and you take out the, what's it called? You take out the face down armor. I mean, this card right here, this accelerator ain't doing shit. Usually gadgets, or not gadgets, usually Geargia can play small ball, which means that they can kind of sit on this, and if you attack it, you know what I mean, they get another card. But when your opponent has this much shit, they can wall up this much stuff, it kind of erases what you can do with that Geargia armor. And obviously you can't exceed, because whatever the fuck you exceed to is just going to die from either break or barrier. So the way that I look at Infernity is the fact that Launcher is at 3, and I mean, you can say it's not. Actually, Soul Charge is even better than Launcher at 3, because with Soul Charge being at 3, you know, in the early game, your opponent doesn't have to have necessarily, you know, Infernity monsters to go off. Like, your opponent, you can literally, like, warning their fucking, they can try and go into an exceed like turn 1 by using, what's that guy's name? By going like Armageddon Knights plus like instant fusion, and you Black Horn to Heaven it, and then they Soul Charge you and then they just win. So it's much better than actually Launcher being at 3. It's like Launcher on crack. So yeah, I guess this is it. This is what it would have felt like if we would have had 3 launchers after Infernity Exceed became a thing. All right, so you see Jessica is wasting no time. Go straight into Gear Giant X. I'm a little embarrassed to admit that while I was just rambling right there, I totally missed what he added to his hand. I'm just gonna assume it was an accelerator. All right, so you see Monk comes down, and Monk discards Night Beam, which, and Maxi comes down. Maxi is a great counter here. I feel like if he would have went for like a Phoenix Chain, that it would have gotten MST, because otherwise, why pitch Night Beam? Why not use it? Alright, so Armageddon Knight comes down, and that puts Street Patrol into the graveyard. And I see Exiton Knight coming down, which means one of these 3 cards will have to be burnt. Exiton Knight comes down, and Black Horn counters that. Okay, so again, I've said it in my videos, it's all about containment. So far Infernity has been contained. You have to keep containment against the deck, though. And unfortunately, he had to use 2 extremely powerful cards. Now you see Gear Giant X activates again. I would say that this duel it's swung in the favor of Jessica by a lot now. And I agree with what Jessica's doing. I say if you're playing against Infernity, do all the damage as quick as possible. Fuck armor. Don't worry about trying to flip that card and make a ton of advantage. You know, make your Gear Giant X's, make as many as you fucking can, and make sure that you keep stacking those cards to your hand, because something like Geargia Armor is way too slow to effectively beat Infernity. But a card like Gear Giant X is good, because when Infernity go off a lot of times, their board is like a whole bunch of like 1800 monsters and shit. It doesn't really matter most of the time because they have breaks and barriers to back those up. But if you can just kind of put bigger monsters than they can attack over, they immediately have to start using their back row. And you see if, you know, they kill these guys, then he gets, you know, Geargiano back. And you want to do as much damage as possible. You see he's attacking for 46 with both Gear Giant X's, because you want your opponent, you know, you want their Soul Charge options to be limited. Like, life points matter against Infernity and not really much else, because this is a deck where Soul Charge is like really, really important. A lot of times if they don't hit it, you know, they can just flat out lose, because a lot of their initial plays don't work if you have back row to, you know, counter those plays and whatnot. All right, so you see Armageddon Knight comes down for Red Gamer, and he pitches another Street Patrol, and I guess he's going to try and just dump his entire hand right now. So he tries to go for 1 Street Patrol into another Street Patrol, and I don't know if they play 2 Exiton Knights. I think I would, but I would have to assume he's just going to keep trying that shit until it works. Like, again, I mean, they might play 2 Exiton Knights. I don't know why they wouldn't, just because of the type of deck it is and the fact that it is so heavily focused on making rank 4 exceeds. But if I ran 2 Exciton Knights, I would definitely go for it because no other XC helps you out here. He needs to clear the board. And I have a suspicion one of these Natalie Portmans, who is just, isn't she just fucking gorgeous? Seriously, just on my list of chicks I would auto marry. But anyways, I have a feeling one of these Natalie Portmans is an MST. Then that's why he pitched Night Beam turn 1. So if you can keep Black Horning him and not have to rely on something like Fiendish Chain, I would. I would not recommend using Fiendish Chain as your be-all, end-all counter to Exciton Knight. Like, I would Silent Warning the shit out of that card before I use Fiendish Chain on it. And if he has Soul Charge, so be it. I mean, it's a fucking hard card that to counter, you know, it's just a flat-out hard card to counter in general. So he goes Diamond Direwolf, which kind of surprised me. That kind of tells me, hey, I don't play more than one Exciton. And he activates his effect. I guess I'm thinking he's just going to randomly try to target back row. He targets one of the back row. And what is it? It is, if it's a Fiendish Chain, I would just let it go. I wouldn't even Fiendish Chain that shit. I would just let the Fiendish Chain die. I don't want to Fiendish Chain your Diamond Direwolf and make it so you keep a monster on board. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I think Jessica96 is thinking, he says you're lucky, and it's MST, which maybe he's expecting launch. He doesn't have any Infernities in his graveyard. Why is he saying he's lucky? I think maybe Jessica was saying that she was lucky, she was lucky. You know what I mean? He's saying 6 out of 12 monsters out, and I guess that's the monster count for Infernity. I mean, I know the deck for the most part. 3 Archfiend, 3 Necromancer, that's 6. 3 Street Patrol is 9. 2 Armageddons and Greffer, that's 12. Is that the Infernity count? No, maybe it's 1-1 in Eris. Yeah. It's probably 1-1 in Eris. That makes more sense. So it's like 1 of each. Okay, so Archfiend comes down. And my only thought is that Red Gamer has way too many Infernity monsters in his hand, and he's a little upset about that. But it looks like Jessica should wrap this duel up, and he goes Instant Fusion after the Archfiend, and you'd have to expect another rank 4 to come down. Now, see, this is where Nodin would just be retarded, right? Like, he could go into a rank 4 without even using Archfiend. He could go, this could be Nodin, and then he could just get back, a Street Patrol, and he could try to use that without even risking his Archfiend. So that's why Nodin is going to be a dumb card. Alright, so I'm thinking these two are going to XC up. And if Red Gamer doesn't play 2 Exciton Knights, which I don't think he does, I think he's going to run 2 after this duel. Because chances are he would use that more than some janky-ass card in the extra deck that he probably never summons. It's like for the longest time I didn't run Starliege, and now that I put it back in my deck, I've summoned it like once, and you know, it's like Tsukiyumi, Bujin Tsukiyumi. Like, I never used that card. If I took it away from my deck, I might lose 1 game out of 100 because of it. Alright, so Red Gamer, stop doing whatever the fuck it is you're doing, talking to Jessica, and just make your play. He's looking at his extra deck, and I mean, if you don't have another play, like if you don't have a comeback way, like Infernity Launcher, which actually won't come back against this field, I say you just go 101, take this, and I mean, just lose the next turn. Like, there's no way for him to win unless he can get to this back in his this back on field plus another monster. There's just no way he can do it unless he would have used Exciton Knight and torched the field, because that would have erased all this advantage. So Red Gamer is looking at his extra deck, and he's already used Diamond Direwolf, which was not even a great play, but I don't really see a reason. I don't see a way that he can win. And this is why I say this is kind of annoying. I hate when my opponent knows that they can't win, but they just they end up wasting time. And I'm just like, why are you wasting time when you know you can't win? You know what I mean? Infernity is a deck where we know most of your plays. None of this shit is transparent. Right now, until Primal Origins comes out and Artifacts come out to where a lot of us don't know exactly how to play against the deck. We don't know all the cards. I mean, so much of this format is just defying plays and, you know, making the right plays at the right time. And these plays, for the most part, don't change. You know, we all know that if you get something like Leo against Mermail, they have like 2 cards that can fucking kill it. and Black Rose and Exciton Knight are actually the same thing with Infernity. You know, we know that uh, what stops boot? What's a monster that just stops Bujins? Um, Abyss Giles does for the most part. If you don't have Crane or Quellen, that shit just stops that deck in its tracks. We all know if you have Abyss Giles out against Bujins and they don't fucking have. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna upgrade that to Felgran. If they don't have a damn Crane, actually he can kind of stop that because he can just target the monster that's trying to attack. So yeah. All right. So at this point, Red Gamer is just fucking wasting time. This one I just be like, admin, because you're just wasting time and you can't win. He goes into Lavalval Chain, which again, what's he gonna dump in his graveyard? He might try and put something on top of his deck, but he's not gonna live long enough to see something go on top of his deck. You know, now granted, if he dumps a Necromancer and then activates Launcher, okay, he's back in business. The problem is, after taking all that fucking time to do a play that would have been obvious had he had a Launcher in hand, I don't believe he has a Launcher in hand. You know what I mean? You don't take 8 minutes to think about doing a play that's that obvious. You take 8 minutes when you know you can't win and you're just desperately trying to grasp on straws. So I look at Red Gamer here. He's lost. He just doesn't seem to accept it right now. And he dumps an Archfiend in the graveyard for what reason? I don't know. And he banishes Street Patrol to summon Necromancer. Okay. I guess. Oh, never mind. It got Fiendish Chain, so yeah, you lose. It got Fiendish Chain, and that's a wrap. Thank you guys for watching as always.